Okay, I'm just looking at this page at the moment, and I'm just doing the documented life page, week 8, which is create a flap on your flap, on your flip out. Just closing the door. Okay, so all I've done so far is scribble some gelatos. These are the colours I've used. So scribbled some gelatos onto a page and then just brushed on some gesso, which is with a harsh bristled gesso brush that you would normally prime a canvas with, just because I wanted some pretty harsh strokes on that. You can just see them a little bit. If I just zoom in a bit, you can see some of those harsh kind of brush strokes, but I've still got the gesso kind of the gelatos underneath. So okay, now I've already got my flip out, my flip from a flip, because essentially I'm not going to I'm not in a moleskin journal. I'm doing mine on loose leaf, and I'm not actually worried about that. So I've already got a flip, and that's a look. This is a lovely card that a friend of mine gave me some months ago, and I just love it, and I kept it, and I've started journaling on the inside. You can't kind of read what it is, but it's about something that I'm going through in my art journey at the moment, and I haven't finished yet. Like on this side I'm not going round and round, because on this side I've gone round and round all the way in, but on this side I'm going across. And when I first started painting this page, I actually was watching a video from Jenny Belly on comparison, and what I'm writing is my kind of journey on comparison, because I must admit it was very pertinent what she was saying on comparison. And for me, I often do compare myself to others, and I just thought to myself, well, you know, you have to be your own artist. You have to be happy with where you are and not jealous of those that have come before you and maybe actually further along in their art journey than you. I always dry off my brush for Mod Podge, and I'm using my homemade Mod Podge, which is just 2/3 PVA to 1/3 water. The next Mod Podge I make, homemade Mod Podge, will actually be 3/4 PVA to 1/4 water, just because I like the slightly thicker transparency. I'm using a little bit of tissue, the printed tissue, because I haven't seen this pattern, but it's a Colorado pattern from, I was cleaning out one of my kids' cupboards today, and I saw their shoebox with some shoes in it, and it had this tissue paper in it. I thought, oh, I really like that geometric pattern, and I kind of want to do little bits of it on this page. I mean, who knows how much of it I'll actually, you'll see by the end, because I'm intending on layering a bit of collage here and there, but I like using things that we find around the house. Lots of challenge inherent in that. And of course, whatever gelatos haven't been already activated by the gesso will be possibly reactivated by this, but all that smearing for me is something that I just love. And I always smooth mine out. Sometimes I get texture and I'm really happy with that, and other times I like a smoother surface. And then I just lift it up with the brush and pop it back down. Lift it up with the brush, and then it can pop back down itself, or I'll help it, or it doesn't at all. I mean, this is just art journaling though. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm I like the randomness in my pages. I haven't planned this page. Quite often I do, but I find with the documented life ones that I love just the journey of starting with a few elements. And for me this year, a lot of my documented life and projects actually incorporate a lot of the happy mail art that I get. They also, like letters that I get from my friends, artwork that they do for me that's outside of whatever I'm doing with my letter journals. And I just love doing it all together, putting it all in, mashing it, because that's what my life is right now. And documented life is exactly that, documenting your life, and that's a huge part of my life right now. And I just love it. It makes my life so much richer. I'm liking how those gelatos are showing through the triangles in that. Hopefully it'll bleed through a little bit. Okay, I'll have to let that dry. Hello again. Look, I've let the previous layers dry, but the last time I actually turned off the video was when I put this tissue paper on. Since then, I've done a rough, basic orange wash. I did a little bit of magenta stencils in the chevrons. And this was all with leftover paint on a project that I was working on at the time. That's why I didn't have time to video it. I also was doing some jelly printing, and I had some leftover prints of a stamp. You can just see the bright orange that's going through in the geometric shapes here. And I also had a little bit of a stencil left over from also some jelly printing, because I haven't actually gone back to this project for quite some time. And I swear it's been like almost a month since the last time I touched this page. So the pocket, the flap, the documented life, add a flap to your flap. Okay, since the last time I actually have brought in and done the rest of the tag that I was working on here. I also, you'll notice that some of these things are a bit bubbly. You can see they're a bit wonky when I put them together. They're not sitting properly. Unfortunately for me, I decided to do something with my water one day and accidentally knocked over this entire jar. It went on this page and it went on this page, and it happens to the best of us at times. So I'm like, wow. I didn't even realize, you know, the damage that could be done. And in the process of mopping that up, I also ripped the page a little bit there. I've got a little bit of tape on the background here. I'm not too worried about it because I actually glue these pages together to the week before. So it's going to reinforce this page. But as it is, it's extremely curly and not doing very well. So I've decided I'm going to add in one of these beautiful, like you have a look at it, I'll show you what it is. It's a darkroom door collage butterfly, and it's got really beautiful patterns on it, all in the butterfly wings. Now I'm looking at doing that and then creating something else with it. So I'm now just going to fast forward this as I continue to cut out the butterfly. It's half cut out at the moment, so I'll finish cutting them out. So as I was saying, I've got this awesome border, and I kind of think that it would be really nice to have it as part of this overall thing. I'm also thinking this is slightly a little bit vintage, So although I like it completely kind of roughed up and it is my additional flap, I also have some pages here that if you were to open that out like that, you would see this. So I'm thinking to myself, this is blank paper, I should cover it with something. And I have some awesome thing that's going to be glued, so I don't need to worry about that. But these two, I should actually paint or put some collage elements on them, do something. Now, I have a few awesome little bits of happy mail that I've received lately. Then I'm just popping through. I also have some of my painted papers, and I'm kind of looking at some of the basic things that I've got here, bearing in mind that I still want to be able to fold this. I'm thinking I'm going to collage a few cute little bits and pieces on it and see how that works. And I have to think seriously about the thickness of the paper that I'm using. Also, I've got some stickers here, so I might use those as well. And I have a whole heap of other little like tissue papery elements, and it just gives a real kind of contrast. Like if you have a look to this page, it's kind of in the same vein, but it gives a bit of a contrast as well. So let me have a look at some more napkins and tissue paper. I've got some vintage tissue paper here that I think might be nice to kind of go either over the top of, if I was to put that. Let's have a look. Oh, I love the birds on this and the bird cage. Aren't they just gorgeous? So if I was to put that down first, let's have a look and see. You can see a hint of it underneath, and it gives you that nice layered look. So if I just zoom in, you can kind of see the flower patterns happening underneath. So I think I'm going to go with a bit of a layered look, and they're such thin papers, tissue papers, that I'm still going to be able to fold that really well. And I'm liking the idea of that. So I'm just going to like paste that whole piece on, and I'll fast forward through that. Now I'm just going to let that dry, and then I'm going to rip the edges off so it's kind of a feathery edge. And I know there's some pieces, particularly up in this piece here, that aren't actually glued down. And then I'm going to have a look at collaging on top of that with some of this and some painted papers and a few stickers. And I think that's going to meld together very well and just provide an element of interest if you open up the wrong part. It gives you a dual purpose for the page, and I think it goes the additional flap idea really well. Alright, so I just have to wait for that to dry. Okay, so this is now dry. So I'm just going to tear around just pull it apart. And if it gives me a jagged edge, it doesn't matter, because I'm just looking at getting a rough kind of pattern underneath the next layer. And so having it perfect is not necessarily what I'm looking for here. And anywhere where it didn't adhere properly, I can just pull off, which is not a problem at all. And I don't want it right out to the edges, otherwise I'll have to trim it, and you know, I can't be bothered trimming it. So I'm going to put a few random pieces of this beautiful tissue paper on here. I love that bird. That bird can go down the bottom there. And these postmarks are just gorgeous. And a nest. So we'll start with that. Alright, so I ended up leaving this card overnight, and I've got this collage here on the bottom. Now, I don't really kind of intend to do a lot there. I got a few bits and pieces. I got this card at a conference I went to last weekend that says, "We'll be friends for life. We know too many secrets." Which I really like. And I'll probably pop that in there somewhere. Although this page is not really about friendship. It's about a personal journey for me with my art. So I'm kind of on that path to do more stuff like that. I'm really kind of thinking for this particular page that I've got a lot of things kind of going on in the background, and for me, I'm going to edge it. I'm just going to edge it with a Stabilo black all pencil, which is very water soluble, because I have these white kind of edges. I am going to edge these circles as well, and I think do some scribbliness, because it's got this kind of grungy feel, and I like having the grunge with the pretty. I incidentally just made some fabulous paper towel cogs. Probably can't see them on the paper towel. Here we go. Paper towel cogs. I actually embossed them first in a few different embossing folders, and so you can see here, you can see the texture in that. I just love it. And these, instead of using toilet paper, I've actually just used paper towel from the kitchen, and I have a roll, pre-emboss a number of layers together, wet it all down, then hang it up to dry when it's all compressed, and it stays like that. Then you can paint those embellishments whatever way you like. And I like that because you can have these beautiful soft embellishments that don't have to be metal, but they'll look like metal by the time I'm finished with it. So that's pretty cool. I don't think I won't be using it on this page. I'm thinking about it for another. So I'm looking at having some water along here and bringing it out, and then just letting it drip. So if you just have a look here, I'm just going to spray it a little bit and make it drip. And you can probably see it's just dripping a little bit. Just want to spray it and maybe again. And you're just wanting tiny little bits all coming out with separate drips. And not all these drips will show up in the end piece of paper, in the end finish page, but I still like them. So I use the aqua brush to just get some definition there, and then I splatter it out, and you can see how that's moving. And I like the fact that it's fine in the ridges. I haven't put enough water on there to make a big kind of impression. I'm just letting it, those drips fall and form and go where they may, because it picks up the pigment of the oil pencil. Okay, so you can see that I've got some nice drips there. I have to let those dry, but I'm just going to go, and instead of using a water brush, I'm actually going to use something, just a normal brush, because I want a rougher kind of look. With a bigger brush tip. And it's grabbing really nicely on that edge of the paper that didn't have heaps of paint and stuff on it. And I need to let that dry now because there's wetness all around the edges and in the middle. So I'll let that dry and then I'll be back. Okay, so everything's dry. And I just added a little bit of shadowing on some of the big paint pieces here. So that's closed up, and that's the way that that one will work. And I kind of think these circles at the top here, they've just had a bit of paint splodged over them. And so I'm just going to get my favourite applicator. I have some fine liners, but my favourite applicator I think at the moment is at my local art store. Oh, that's the wrong colour. Let's find the right one. My favourite applicator is actually these Kinderglitz bottles, and I managed to get a whole bunch of them, and I just thin the paint down a little bit. If I'm using fluid acrylics, I don't thin it down at all, but if I'm using a heavy body acrylic like this black, I actually, for this one I've just used some matte gel, some matte, what is it? Some matte medium in it, just to try it. Like, and it's not as inky black, this particular one, but the fine, really fine applicator tip allows you to really scribble really well and gives you that fine definition that you're looking for in these circles, which originally were done with a toilet roll, but it's just inked them out. And I need to put some antlers in for my butterfly, just, you know, a little bit. I kind of think I might grunge up the butterfly a little bit, so I'm just going to go around and do this, a bit of a scribbly mess around it, because I'm liking the grungy nature, because the thoughts that I shared about what I'm doing were a bit grungy, they were a bit earthy, and I thought, well, I'll make the page reflect that just a bit. I like the idea. I think I'll do some scribbles around this edge, so just doodle around as you see. It just really gives a sharp edge. And you can even write stuff here. Like, I'm just doing it because I just feel like the page needs a little bit more grunginess, and I'm happy to give it. And I'm kind of liking the way that that's kind of really grunging up a lot now. So I'll just let that dry. Okay, all of that beautiful painting there, the doodling, that's all dry. And one of the things that I wanted to say is it's only actually been less than half an hour. So using a matte medium in there actually makes this dry a little bit faster, and the airbrush medium will actually prolong the drying. So while I was letting that drying, I just went round with a pit pen, because this is a non-porous surface here, because it's had lots of Mod Podge and stuff put on it. So, and I was able to just put the you know, blacken in the edges and then smudge it with my finger. So now all I'm going to do is actually just mount that on and pop a tie. Actually, I might just... I often plan my work out like this, where I just kind of get a little bit of an idea where it's going to go. And I'm not going to trace all the way around it because I've just got some marks there to give me an idea, because I thought I might just write something here. So I'm thinking to myself, when I was writing these thoughts out, I was talking about thinking about comparison and how we as artists and look, new people that are embarking on an artistic journey, we often compare ourselves to others, not understanding and not realizing that when we compare ourselves to others, we don't know what their journey's been or how long they've been doing what they've been doing. We don't know how hard they've had to work to, say, learn to draw a face. Even though their faces might be beautiful now, there could have been years of work and effort gone in to perfect that. And when we come in new, we often compare ourselves to others, and often that can have a detrimental effect on us. So my musings were written down on that as I looked at myself and how I've done that in my own artistic journey to my own detriment, and choose now not to do it so much. I mean, there are people that I aspire to be as good as. I'm absolutely amazed at some work that some new artists do, and I think to myself, will I ever get there myself, or what will happen, you know? But so my little saying is going to be, don't compare yourself to others. And finish down the bottom. Keep your journey yours. And at the bottom, when I'm saying keep your journey yours, I mean be original in your own journey and be proud of it. Don't think that whatever you're doing is not as good as somebody else. Don't compare. Comparison is not the way to overcome or become better as an artist. Hard work. I mean, some people have more natural talent in art than others. That's a given, right? Just like in anything. But if that is your goal, to become better at a certain thing, whether it's Zen doodling or drawing faces or painting, or no matter what it is that you choose, then pursue it with a single-minded passion, is my thought. Because if you don't, then you don't have the right to compare. Like, you don't... what am I trying to say here? It's like you will be more likely to give up. I think that's the point I'm trying to make here. You will be more likely to give up having not attained what you were originally thinking if you allow yourself to be sidetracked and discouraged by the talent and brilliance in other people. So I'm going to use some Aliens tacky glue to actually put this on. You need a pretty decent glue. This is a strong, thick cardstock, this card, and I've made it quite bubbly with everything that I've done. And when everything here is completely dry, I'm actually going to take an iron to it and iron it all on properly. And I will actually press this in with something heavy to make sure it adheres. Right, so I've given it a big good dob of glue, and I'm going to position it in those little pencil marks that I popped in. And of course part of it's flicking up, so what I'm going to pop and do here is press this right out, give that a really good rub. It is a tacky glue, so it does go tacky very quickly, but I will press that in. And there you have it, my completed Week 8 Documented Life project, Create a Flap from a Flap. So although I'm not doing the planner style and I'm just doing pages, I have one flap and two. So I've created a flap from a flap. But I've done it a little bit differently, I hope you agree. So enjoy. I'll pop a photo of this scan of this finished page so that you can see it nice and flat and in full colour at the end of this video. Ciao for now. Remember, learn something new today. It keeps you young.